Welcome to another episode of Mom Talk. Today, Victoria and I are going to cover love languages, conflict styles, attachment styles, and I know we've touched on the 5 love languages before, but we're gonna go deeper this time and do ours too.
Okay, great.
Okay, so if anybody hasn't heard of the 5 love languages, it's a book, and it was made originally for couples, partners, like a relationship. And then I got that one, but then I also got the 5 love languages for kids. So they're all the same love languages, but in the kids version, obviously directed more towards like what your kids are going to be feeling. So if anybody hasn't heard of this, the 5 love languages are physical touch, gift giving, acts of service, like positive affirmations, and then quality time. So I think the physical touch, that's pretty self-explanatory. Gifts, like, I'm going to stop and get you a Dr. Pepper on the way home.
Yeah.
Acts of service are, helping around the house, dishes, laundry, things like that. And then positive affirmations, of course, like telling them they did a good job, I appreciate you. And then quality time, pretty self-explanatory as well. Victoria and I both took the quiz. We've actually taken it several. Yeah, like years ago and then again now.
Yeah.
So what do you think mine is, Victoria?
I don't know. I feel like quality time or like maybe touch.
Yes, I'm very needy. I need you to be sitting right next to me and go to the store with me and all of it.
So you're all the love languages.
Yes. Okay, I think yours is, hold on. I feel like it would be acts of service and quality time.
So it's definitely acts of service. Like, I feel like if you help me with something around here, or like, especially if you go do something like I don't want to do. Like, I don't want to go to the pharmacy and pick up meds.
Oh, so if they do that for you, it's like a love language.
Not even with me. So it's not even a touch of quality time. So definitely acts of service, I think, for me.
I do not need acts of service. I think that sounds funny to say because I feel like any other mom or wife would be like, yes, please help me out around this house. And it's not that I don't appreciate it or didn't appreciate it, but I'm like, but why don't you just like come sit next to me?
Right. Just be near me.
Yeah. So I'm not surprised by mine at all.
Yeah. Mine makes sense to me.
Were you always that, or years ago were you something different?
I think I was quality time before kids.
Okay.
And now I think it's acts of service, like a more practical.
Mm-hmm. Because somebody said to me before, like, well, it could change because what you're not receiving.
Yeah.
Which that makes total sense to me, but mine has definitely always been the touch and time. Like, let's just sit here and snuggle up.
Right.
And I got the book. I don't know how old the kids were the first time I read it. But it says that you can usually figure your kids out between like the age of 4 and 8. Me and Emma had some times back in the day.
Yeah.
Which was why I was reading it. I feel like you and I are both always researching, like, what can we do to help our kids or make things easier on everybody?
Yeah.
Especially if something's kind of off.
Oh, for sure.
So Emma is absolutely like words of affirmation, positive affirmation. Like if I am telling her, hey, your attitude is starting to show, she'll just spike that up to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
But if I switch it around and I'm like, hey, I've had such a good day, you're so good. Like she wants to be that and the attitude goes away.
Well, that's good.
I know. And Henry was really little when I was reading it, but he is absolutely the same as me.
Yeah, touch and time.
Yes, he wants to be in the same room. Even if he's playing video games, he's like, why don't you watch me do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do, don't you?
Yes. Because I'd
be like, no, I have to do laundry.
No, and then Emma, she needs her space. So she's in her room alone while I'm just watching.
Yeah.
I thought all kids were going to be gifts because, what kid doesn't love for you to bring them something home? Or when you go shopping, like, let me get something. Mm-hmm. But for kids, it said gifts, like the way you could tell the difference would be like the presentation. Like they want to wrap it, make it look nice, like not just bring something home and slide it to them.
Okay.
And then it said, obviously, kids do need a lot of affection and quality time. But acts of service is also a weird one for me for kids.
Yeah, what is an act of service? Like their whole life?
I know, because we already do everything for them.
I mean, my kids are still so young. Like, I do have to do 90% of the things for them.
Right. That one still has me hung up.
So, like, survival.
Yes, just keeping you alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one still hangs me up on kids.
And I have not read the kid book. I have read the adult book, but I have not read the kid book.
Right, because acts of service for adults makes
Sense.
100% sense. I don't know about the kid version, but...
I haven't read the kid version, but, like, Mason, I don't know. He's either all of them or gifts. And I really think it might just be gifts.
Okay.
And I say that having not read the book because he likes to, like, anytime we go to any store, it could be a gas station. Can I get something? He always wants something. Doesn't matter where we are. If we go to Walmart for a pickup order, he's like, are we going inside? I want to get something. I need a new toy.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't think you do. You already have everything, like, from the toy aisle. And then, like, if he's in trouble, he thinks his way to fix it. He's like, I can just buy you something.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, that's not an apology. And he's like, I'll buy you whatever you want. Like, if he hurts his sister or whatever. I'm like, no, that's not it. And so I think his might be gifts in an unconventional way, maybe.
Yeah, I think you could be right. That's his go-to.
Yeah, and then Remy, I don't know. She's kind of young. She's 3. But...
Are either of them, like, super snugglers?
Remy is more snuggly than Mason. Mason, no, not a snuggler. He's a cat. It's, like, on his terms. Remy is a snuggler. I don't know. She shows love, I think, through acts of service. Like, she is a helper. She loves to help. She loves to, like, mother.
And if you're cleaning, she, like, helps you.
She wants to do it. She's, like, helping me get the clothes out of the dryer. She's helping me clean out my car. So that's the way she shows love. But I can't read exactly what, like,
what hers is going to be yet.
Yeah. It could be quality time and touch. She is a snuggly little thing, but she's still 3.
What about Jarrett's? Do you know his?
Oh, yeah. His is touch.
Oh, okay.
And mine is
the
like,
opposite of you.
Yeah. Like on the test that scores you, like, yeah, my least was touch. No, my least was gifts. Touch surprised me. It was a little higher than I thought it would be, but it was still down the list.
Maybe that's amped up since you had kids. Like, they can touch you.
Yeah, maybe. But Jarrett, 100%. I don't know if he's taken the test or not, but he doesn't need to. It's touch.
You know what it is. Yeah.
He's like you. He's like, just sit here. Just, like, snuggle. Just, like, lay on the couch. Just, like, hold my hand.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Like, that's a lot.
I'm like, okay, I see you. I can talk to you.
Okay, well, along these lines we said we were going to talk about the conflict styles. Okay, so I've heard about fighting styles when you're an adult.
Yeah.
So we took the quiz on this too, but we took this one together.
Yes.
Well, at the same time.
Yeah.
The conflict styles, there's avoiding, accommodating, compromising, collaborating, or competing. And I'm not surprised that yours was compromising.
Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me.
You're trying to, like, keep the peace?
Yeah. Like, you give a little, I give a little. We'll both end up okay.
So mine was accommodating, which these two sound the same to me. I'm accommodating and I'm compromising.
I feel like accommodating means a little bit more like you're willing to, like,
give a little more.
Give more and, like, let the other person take.
That's probably why the follow-up on accommodating says may have some resentment.
Yeah, it probably is. That's definitely got to be a factor. Because, yeah, I think it's you give more. You're, like, wanting to keep the peace a little more than I do. You're like, no, it's fine. And, like, bending to the other person more so. And I'm more like, but what are you going to give?
Okay, I feel like that makes sense for both of us.
Yeah.
And then our second, like, super close to first was avoiding.
For both of us.
That's also not surprising.
I was surprised that wasn't first. Like,
okay.
I would rather avoid, and then if that doesn't seem to work, I would compromise. But it also, okay, it's situational too. Like, with my kids, it's going to be compromise. I'm not going to avoid a conflict with them.
Right.
With Jarrett, I might try to avoid a conflict.
Yeah.
But if that doesn't work, compromise.
Okay.
And then, like, anywhere else in my life, friends, work, whatever, I'm just straight up avoiding.
Okay. I feel like I would be more avoidant just in general, except with my kids.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to go for it.
And then you're accommodating.
Yeah. And then I'm accommodating. I think I want to be collaborating. That one sounds more positive rather than compromising or accommodating.
I mean, it probably is, because compromise, I feel like both people are losing a little bit. And then I feel like collaborating means like we're working together. For a solution. Yeah. Compromising almost to me sounds like, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'll blah and you blah.
Yeah.
Like me telling you what the compromise is versus collaborating and like caring about your side of it.
Okay, that's what I need. I always just want to be at least like feel like they heard me.
Yeah.
Even if we're not going to agree, even if it's not going to go my way, I just know you know how I felt.
Yeah, the shoe, you put yourself in my shoes.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, I'm like shoes.
The shoes, yes. Yeah, so I think that's what I would prefer. But
can you switch? Can you like make a choice and switch, or is this just like who you are, how you are?
I mean, I feel like when you take these tests, it tells you who you are, even though you already know.
It just points it out.
Yeah. And then you have the option if you want to work on it.
But see, if you would have asked me my conflict style, I would have never come up with the word compromising.
What would you have called yourself?
Or avoiding. My conflict style?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even have a word for it. I would just be like, I don't know.
If you ask me, I would say I don't have any conflict.
Oh, okay.
Probably because I am right up there on the avoiding.
Avoiding and accommodating.
Yeah.
So you don't have conflict.
I don't feel like I have a lot of conflict. But if I do, yeah, I'm going to bury it down and avoid it unless it has to be touched on.
I also feel like, especially in a relationship, there's a difference in like conflict and a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like a conflict is where you're like, you don't agree on something, and I am compromising there.
Right.
A fight, you go low, I'm going lower. That's my fighting style.
Okay, and if I'm putting myself in that situation and we're like really fighting, I'm crying.
Yeah, straight to the tears.
Straight to the tears. I don't want anybody to be mad at me. Mm-hmm. Like, we have got to solve this right now.
No.
Or I can go no further.
Absolutely not.
Oh.
Yeah, mine is...
Do you go to bed angry? You know, they say you're not supposed to do that.
So Jarrett's really annoying because he doesn't care. Okay, that's another thing.
Y'all are right in the middle of arguing and he passes out.
No, he is. He's like, we're done with this for tonight and we'll go to sleep.
I would never. My thoughts would be turning all night.
Mine are. And like the adrenaline's pumping. I'm worked up because like I said, like you are going low, I'm going lower.
Yeah.
I'm not going to start it, but I'm going to have the last word.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't go to sleep or I don't get to do that.
Wake up for me to have that last word.
Mm-hmm. So I'll just like irritate the crap out of him until he wakes up and hears the last word.
Do you have to have the last word with your kids?
No.
Do your kids have to have the last word, or that's not them?
That's not Remy.
Okay.
Mason has to have the last word no matter what the consequence is going to be.
I will say, which... You know, my kids are older. We're not really like scrapping or anything like we used to, but both of them have to have the last word.
Okay.
Just like their dad.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, but that doesn't bother me. I'm like, all right, do you feel better now that you had to say the last little mumble in?
Mason and I do go back and forth more because it's like, I don't have to have the last word, but I'm going to give it a shot. But also, you're a child, so I'm not going to go at you like I would your dad yet. Yeah. Now, there's going to be an age that comes with Mason, and I am going to have to treat him like
a grown man.
Yes. But I will do a little back and forth with him.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say to your kids, like when they're trying to have the last word, did that make you feel better?
Yes.
See, to me, that's the last word.
I just like to point out how much it bothers them. I don't do it every time. I haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah.
But when I realized that's what they were doing, because I'm like, this conversation has been finished, but you just got to like something else right on in there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I have before. And like I said, I usually don't try to poke the bear with Emma, but that will really...
Get her fired up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really gets
If you feel like fighting and not being accommodating.
Yes. Yes. If I pick that option.
Yeah. We've moved from conflict to fight.
Gosh, I feel like with kids, it's just going to be all of these at some point.
I mean, yeah, and like, you know, I've talked on here, Mason's been a little wild card. I've tried all of these.
Okay, so you've touched on them.
I have touched on all of them, and yeah.
What about your kids to each other? How do you let them handle conflict?
As long as it stays verbal, duke it out.
Yeah.
Now, once we start throwing hands,
You got to come
I
in.
have to step in. However, the older Remy gets, she will throw hands back now.
Okay, so she's
Only to
defending
Mason,
herself.
and she never does it first, and she will, he'll hit her with a pillow 5 times, and she'll tolerate it, and then she's done. And so she'll shriek at the top of her lungs at him to stop, and he won't, and then she will get feisty back. Mm-hmm. And to some extent, I let the physical play out, because as long as nobody's really hurt, as long as we are using pillows, as long as we're not, because they like to play wrestle with Jarrett all the time.
Yeah.
And when he's not here, they're like, oh, well, 2 out of 3 of us, that's
It's
not
still
bad.
here, yeah.
So sometimes it's playing and then it takes a turn. Sometimes it is an altercation and I will let it play out until somebody's hurt. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I can tell if somebody's going to get hurt right off the bat and I intervene immediately.
Yeah, you got to stop it.
So it just depends on what's going on. Flavor of the day.
You know, my kids never really laid hands on each other. I mean, there may have been a couple times, but I was truly shocked if they did. I don't know if it's because I have the older girl, so she's just not really doing that. And if Henry ever did anything to her, Michael would come for him. So it just never became a thing. He has never hurt her.
I think too, my kids, they are very close in age. So
Yeah.
once Mason started wrestling around, Remy jumped right in and did too.
Right. That makes sense to me.
I mean, size-wise, Mason is larger. He runs on, the 90 percentiles for everything, and Remy's down here in the 20s and 30s for everything. She's petite. But there for a minute, they met in the middle, and they were same size-ish. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, wrestling was fine because it was an even match.
Right.
And Remy actually enjoyed it more than Mason for a while.
Okay. She's learning.
Yeah.
Taking notes.
She's like, okay.
Well, Emma would definitely do some cuts to Henry, verbally.
Oh, yeah. That's a girl thing.
He could handle it for a while. But, I mean, I don't feel like I ever really had to intervene. Just let y'all figure it out. I want y'all to figure out how you have to talk to people and how you let people talk to you. Mm-hmm. You're not going to do that. So I've definitely had some conversations with them, but I don't really have to intervene too much, especially now. Yeah. Now all we're talking about is how we're going to talk to other people. Friends, Emma's in 8th grade.
Right, and how we're going to let people treat us.
Right. So it's not so much at home anymore, but out in the wild for her.
Out in the wild.
Yes.
That's a scary place to be.
Middle school is a scary place to be.
Yeah, because, I feel like the tricky thing is, you want to teach your kids to be kind and considerate and nice and polite. But at what point does it become, they're getting taken advantage of?
Right.
Rather than just being kind and helpful.
I mean, that's something I'm still working on.
Right.
Because I want to be nice all the time, but at whose detriment?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to help my kids with that while I'm doing it.
It's going to help you all at the same time.
Yes.
You're all just going to learn it together.
Okay, so I really liked this one, the attachment style.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I had never done this before. Have
Me
you
either.
ever done
No.
this before?
No.
Okay. So when I took this test, obviously, I was thinking of how I felt growing up. I wasn't taking it in the eyes of my kids.
Okay.
But there's secure attachment. So obviously you're secure in your attachment. You're able to be comforted by your caregivers. Then there's insecure avoidant. These kids, they manage their own distress or sadness. They don't signal that they need comfort from a caregiver. They're kind of separated and avoidant. Then there's insecure resistance. So these kids, when they separate from their caregivers, they do become distressed and angry, and they even resist their caregiver when they return. So mad at you that you're gone. Now the disorganized, I feel was its own. I mean, obviously it's one of the 4 categories, but it's a little bit different. It's compulsive or coercive, controlling towards the caregivers. You're trying to be in charge of them. They could be scared or even being frozen, just non-reactive. Mm-hmm. So mine was secure.
Wow.
I know. I'm not surprised by that. My mom and I are super close. So if I'm thinking about myself growing up,
That was what you had like in your head when you took the quiz?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yours was, we wrote it down, guys. Victoria's the insecure avoidant.
I sure am. And when I read it, it made a lot of sense. Like, I did feel like I do all the things that are, like, under that category.
So you manage your own distress without letting anybody know. Check.
Yeah.
You don't signal a need for comfort. Check. And then after a separation from a caregiver, you would just avoid them if you're upset.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Check, check, check.
All of them. That's me.
Okay. So you took it current, or did you think about it like
I
did?
didn't think about any, like, certain circumstance. I just answered the questions. Like,
yeah.
I didn't have, like, a parental, like, figure in my head, or, like, Jared or my kids. Like, I didn't have anything specific in my mind. It was just answering questions for me.
Okay. But you think you've always been
Oh,
like that.
always, in every situation.
You're just going to take it on yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wonder if this is one of those tests that we could, like, work on to feel more secure.
If I could, like, change mine.
What about, like, would you be able to guess your kids? I feel like that's a hard one.
Remy, I feel like, is secure. Mason, he is hard to really pin down. I would go with disorganized for him. If I had to pick one, I could really narrow it down to all but secure.
You don't think he's secure?
No.
Why do you think that? Because
I think he's not secure.
Yeah, because obviously you're very hands-on.
I am, and always have been.
Are making sure he has everything he needs. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, I'm dropping you off at Red Barn, but I'm coming back. You know,
I could have him totally wrong. His behavior just really makes me think a lot of it.
Okay.
And I mean, it could have nothing to do with attachment style.
Right.
It could just be who he is as a person.
Right. And nothing to do with you either.
Right. And, like, he could feel very secure in his attachment to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the way he acts, like, one of them you said, like, lashes out at the caregiver when they do return. Mm-hmm. He's fine to be dropped off anywhere, everywhere. He's not crying. He's not angry. He's not whatever. Sometimes when I come back, he is mad at me. And, like, there have been multiple times I've picked him up and he's just instantly bad mood.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, is it that? Like, are you upset that I did leave you? Like, you repressed it and held it in all day, but now that I'm back, it's like, why did you leave me?
Right.
I don't know.
And that's one of the things, too, like, we know the moms catch all the emotions, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, at the beginning of my divorce, when I would get the kids back, I'm like, whoa, they might be crying, they might be mad. It was just, like, such a mix. And mom's like, you're just going to get it all because you're their safe space. I'm like, well, I'm glad I'm their safe space, but it's a lot to take on.
Could I be a little less safe?
Yeah. Yeah, so you're getting all Mason's
emotions,
whatever they may be for the day.
Yeah, and like I said, his behavior could have nothing to do with his true attachment style. He could come out at the end of the day and feel very secure. I don't know. But just based off behavior and these descriptions, disorganized would be my number one guess.
I want to say, too, since I've had kids, like, you know, before kids, you see people and you're like, oh, wonder why they're acting that way or this or that. You know, we would never do that now that we have our own kids because, you know, they'd be acting up. But they are born the way they are going to be. Like, I thought Henry would be a certain way because me and Emma are both girls. Like, he's not going to act like a boy. But, I mean, I don't feel like I did anything. Like, his personality is his personality. His feelings are his feelings. Like, I just don't think there's any way to change that. You're born how you're born.
So, what about your kids? What attachment style?
So, this one's hard for me to think about because just the word attachment, like, they're not with me all the time. Mm-hmm. I feel like I would say they are both secure. I feel like they have been, you know, like you said, you could drop them off at Red Barn and they knew I was coming back. Like, they were okay.
Yeah.
Now, there were some tears some mornings, like, not always easy, especially, like, if one of their really good friends wasn't there at the same drop-off, you know, like Remy.
Remy and her BFF.
Yes.
That's a hard one.
I'm like, we need to drop off at the same time, everybody.
Yeah.
So sometimes with that, but I feel like they were always happy to see me once I got there. Like, I feel like how I think about how I feel about my mom is, I hope, how they feel about me.
Yeah.
Like, super secure in that. I can call her if I need anything. Mm-hmm. So if I had to guess, I would say secure. I do wonder all the time, like, man, when my kids are older, like, I want them to tell me if I was right or wrong about all this.
Just have them take these quizzes.
Yes, like, how did you feel, you know? Because when we take them at work, I'm like, does my mom wonder, like, was I happy enough or this enough or that enough? Like, I do think about that a lot and, like, how my kids feel currently.
Mm-hmm. Just have them take the test.
You know what? Just pull this right on up.
Little homework assignment, guys.
Wonder what they would think if I actually had them do that.
Either that you're crazy or they'd be fascinated.
They might be fascinated.
Yeah.
I think Henry's always wondering,
also,
like, what
too,
we're
I
doing.
wonder what, like, would be in their head. Like, you know, you said you had your mom in your head when you were taking yours.
Yeah.
Who would be in their head?
True.
Or would it just be general questions?
Right.
So, like, it could be you in their head. It could be their dad in their head. It could be nobody in their head like me, just like how I feel, like,
Yeah.
as the questions are asked, very literal.
I think that would be super interesting if they gave their opinion on any of these.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I know my kids pretty well, but
What
like
if
you
like,
said,
have no clue what their love language is?
what if
you
I'm
think you
totally
have it
wrong?
pegged? Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, so we couldn't find a free test of the 5
No.
love languages anymore online. We used to be able to.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to get them the book,
Okay.
which I've already had, but I shared it. So, I'm doing this.
Do it.
And I will report back if I'm right
Or wrong.
or right.
Emma's going to be like, mine's not whatever.
Words at all.
Yeah. She's going to be like, no.
I did think she was a close second on gifts because when it said the presentation part,
Right.
she very much cares about that and like how things look.
Mm-hmm.
But like, okay, if she's cleaning her room, she doesn't ask for my help. I don't feel like she's acts of service. She is absolutely not physical touch. I would like fall out if she tried to tell me she was. So the positive in the gifts, I feel like.
What about quality time?
I mean, I would be shocked if hers was quality time. It just doesn't strike me how me and Henry are with it. And if Henry was literally anything else, I would fall out. Like, I don't even know.
He can't be.
There's no way. I'm going to make him take it.
Okay. I can't wait.
I know. Okay, so that was our research study we did this week for y'all. Like I said, we do a lot of research for our kids, and I just feel like it's helpful when we try to get in their brains a little bit and make things easier on everybody.
Yes.
So thank y'all for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Apple and Spotify and on our Instagram. Thanks.
Bye.